bringing you lights, camera, and action. A brand new show every Wednesday at 7 p.m. only on Awaz Entertainment. Hello everyone, good evening. I'm Kubra Ali, your host for tonight for my show Lights, Camera, and Action on Awaz Entertainment. First of all, I would like to wish you a happy Independence Day. All my viewers, all my Pakistani Indian friends, happy Independence Day. I hope you celebrated, enjoyed it. And let's move forward for my show. And as every time I get new interesting guests with me and we talk about their experiences, their services. Tonight I have an immigration advisor sitting with me, a very well-known immigration advisor. And let me welcome Amir Ismail. Welcome.
Thank you, Kubra, for inviting me to your show. Excited to be on your channel.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to have you in my show. How are you?
I'm doing great.
That's nice. And how is summer treating you?
Summer, yeah, we have to be very, we are always concerned about summer going away very quickly. So I'm trying to enjoy as much as possible.
Absolutely. We just got 1 month and then fall starts.
Yeah, and then of course, winter starts and it's gonna get terribly cold. But before that, but cold itself is its own pleasure, right?
Absolutely.
We enjoy that too
the
in
snow,
Canada. Yes,
the winter,
yes,
and the Christmas.
Exactly. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Absolutely, all of us.
Exactly.
So, are you coming? Do you live nearby, or you have a lot of commute to do?
Yeah. So my immigration consulting office is in downtown Toronto. We are on King and Bay.
Oh, nice.
And the BMO building, the white building. You can't miss it. This is the tallest building in Canada.
I know that.
Yeah. You're on the 57th floor, so nice view of CN Tower and everything.
Okay.
But I reside in a smaller town. I shifted there 2 years ago. I've been in Canada for the last 20 plus years.
Oh, nice.
But shifted recently to Cambridge. It's a smaller town.
Okay.
Closer to Kitchener.
A nice city.
I've
been there.
Very nice, small city vibe and, less people, less crowded.
So before you used to live in Toronto?
Yes, I used to live in Toronto, yes.
Okay,
yes.
that's nice.
I had enough of it. But yeah, Toronto is a great city, by the way.
I know. Very busy.
Very busy, yes.
I know. I think Cambridge is a bit nice and very, a lot of residential areas.
Yeah, and with anyone coming to Canada, obviously we deal with the immigrants and newcomers. They, first of all, settle down in the main city and then they go out towards suburbs and, where they're more family sort of environment they can enjoy. So that is what I did as well, I guess, albeit a bit late, but I did so.
In 20 years.
In 20 years, yes.
Absolutely. So where are you coming from?
Yeah, so I come from Karachi, Pakistan.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, and migrated several years ago now. And
so happy Independence Day to you.
Thank you very much. Happy Independence Day to you too.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll move forward about the immigration services you have. So a few questions I prepared for you, and just want to know how long have you been practicing immigration?
Yeah, so I've been associated with the immigration consulting industry for the last 31 years now.
That's long.
And yes, because that is the only thing that I've done. I've never done anything else but immigration consulting. I started with my father, and then it's a family business and grown into a very nice practice. So I came to Canada. Obviously, at that time, there was no regulation in the industry.
Absolutely.
But I started off as an immigration consultant, obviously. But then Government of Canada introduced licensing as well, regulations. So everyone who is to provide immigration consulting services to consumer and charge money against it has to be licensed by the Government of Canada. That is exactly what I did. I went for my licensing. And to get your licensing, obviously, you have to study immigration law and do everything and then maintain it as well as a member.
So you did in Karachi and then you came here and then studied again?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because, government introduced this mandatory requirement of getting a license, getting a membership of a regulator.
Okay.
So the current regulator is the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants. So you have to be a member in good standing with the CICC.
Right.
And then only the IRCC, the Immigration Department, recognizes you as a licensed representative.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice. So tell me, in brief, what does an immigration and citizenship advisor do?
Yeah. So their job is to guide you. First of all, their job is to determine your eligibility. That's the first step. If you approach an immigration consultant who is licensed and properly authorized and trained, their job should be to not give you false hopes, give you the realistic picture of your eligibility to come to Canada as a student, as a visitor, a worker, skilled worker, business person, any category you choose. Their job is to determine your eligibility, and if you hire their services, their job is to help you in the paperwork, presentation of your documentation, make sure that there are no errors or flaws or oversights.
That's important.
Something that you can do on your own, even something that you can do on your own if you have enough know-how, you've done your research. So by all means, you should be doing it on your own. But if you find it a bit complex, or if your case is complex, or if you are short of time and you don't want to take any risks, you want the paperwork to be flawless, and you want to put a bit of burden on the shoulder of someone who is trained to do so and do it day in and day out, you might want to seek the help of a licensed consultant based in Canada, and they would guide you throughout the process. They will be your voice dealing with the immigration department. Any query generated by the visa officer, any concern, any interview convoked, they are the ones who should be guiding you all through the process. And if you have hired a licensed professional who is based in Canada, they might be able to provide you some bit of a guideline when you arrive here as well, in settlement, for example, because they've been living here, being Canadian citizens themselves.
So basically, it'll be easy for them.
Yes, to provide ease in the process.
Absolutely. Are you registered here?
Yes. Yeah, you have to.
Without registration, you can't work.
You can't practice, and you have to have a license properly, and that's how you operate.
So before providing immigration assistance, do you let them sign a contract? Or?
Yeah, so that is a requirement of the regulator. And that is why people overseas, when they approach local agents in their local market, they think that they are in a position to somehow help, but they are absolutely not. So they go and they pay them some money, they give them a receipt, that's about it. And they even sign agreement in the local market. In a licensed consultant matter, they have to provide you a retainer agreement outlining the terms of services, fees that they're going to charge, at what stage, mode of payment, schedule of payments, because it's all about money at the end of the day, right?
Of course.
So your rights as a consumer should be protected, and you need to provide them something in writing. Everything should be in writing, and a retainer agreement is a mandatory requirement. Has to be signed with the consultant, not with the company. It's not allowed. So that is why when you go to a consultant in your home country, in India, Pakistan, UAE, you see that they would ask you to sign a contract with the company, private limited company sort of thing, right? But Canadian government doesn't allow that. It has to be in the name of the person who got the license. Because obviously
it's not about the company, but the person. Like if you are,
you can't be held accountable for something wrong. Or
there should be a person.
So it has to be the name of the person, and has to be signed by the person.
Oh, nice. Actually, that's a good thing. I didn't know about it.
Yes.
Thank you for letting us know. Okay, which all immigration services do you provide?
So we do everything from skilled workers to business persons, visitors, students. But the only area that I personally don't practice is the refugee class, refugee claimant. We do provide guidelines, and we do refer people to my colleagues who work in refugee field, but I don't do only that area. But otherwise, all the other areas related to immigration law, I do practice them.
Nice. And why do you need an immigration consultant to apply for a visa?
Yeah, so as I said, you don't need a consultant as such. You can apply on your own. All you need to do is to refer to the official website of Canadian government, which is cic.gc.ca. That's the official website. But when you go through that website, you see that sometimes it becomes confusing. Sometimes it becomes difficult for people to decipher it. Sometimes it becomes important for them to determine as to which is the best category for them. Someone who can qualify as a business person might also qualify as a skilled worker at the same time. If he's got a degree and he's got good language skills, working for a father's business, can qualify as a skilled worker as well. But if he goes to a unlicensed agent, might give him a bad direction, says that you are a business person, you have to apply under business, and you have to invest at least $300,000, while that person could have come to Canada at a lower price. So the purpose of saying that is simply that you need proper guidelines, and sometimes it can come from someone who knows it inside out. So you present him with your data, and he can determine as to which is the best course that he should take, that it takes lesser time and comes to Canada quickly and easily, if not quickly, because sometimes it is a delayed process in some categories.
Of course, yes.
But the bottom line is that you succeed without any issues, right? And you would only succeed if you are eligible. It's not that the consultant is going to make you eligible somehow, or it's not going to issue you the visa. It never happens like that, right? It has to be the visa officer. He's got the authority. His job is to, make sure that you're not making a mistake.
That's nice. That's nice. And what are the chances of success through your program?
Right. So the programs obviously are designed by the Government of Canada. Our job is to help people in applying in those programs. If a person is meeting the criteria, obviously we can say with a certain amount of assurance that this guy should be considered. We should never be saying that it is guaranteed you're going to be coming to Canada for sure, even though we can see that the person is meeting the criteria for sure. Because this is not our job. That's what I see overseas. Whenever I travel, I see that people are saying guaranteed visa, and if you don't succeed, just don't pay us anything apart from what you've already paid us, a small amount. That small amount is the target. That small amount that they charge you, that was the target, because you never qualified in the first place. So that is what we try to educate people about. So one job is to, of course, to help people in immigrating to Canada in their paperwork. The other job is to educate people so that they don't lose their hard-earned money and waste their time.
And that is important, I feel.
That's a big pandemic going on of unlicensed agents in the overseas market. And people don't know that they all are illegitimate, illegal, unlawful. They are not licensed by the Government of Canada. Some of them have never been to Canada themselves, but they're posing themselves as Canadian citizens, which is the main requirement, that you need to be a Canadian citizen.
It's like a fraud.
It's a fraud. And people are desperate to come. They'll just pay off. And that's how it goes in overseas markets.
Absolutely. Okay, do you provide visas for family immigration law? If you can give us a brief on it.
Yeah, so family immigration, when the word family immigration is used, I've seen, especially overseas and here as well, there is a misconception that there is a sort of a category called family immigration. There's nothing like that. It's not like, a lot of people would say, oh, I don't qualify. But you see, I've got a family. Can I come under family immigration? No. I mean, if you don't qualify, you don't qualify. There is this spousal sponsorship category where you can sponsor your spouse if you're married with a foreign national overseas, or you can sponsor your children, you can sponsor your parents and grandparents, and there are categories, parent sponsorship.
It's not like family, but there are categories like spouse, children, parents.
So if you are a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident, you can sponsor someone related to you, like a spouse, a children, or parents and grandparents. But if you are a foreign national yourself, and you have a family, you should be qualifying in one of the categories: skilled worker, business, student, worker, or even a visitor. You can say that I want to visit Canada and this is my family. And if you meet the criteria of a visitor or any other category, the family might be considered as well as a dependent, right? But there is nothing like, because I have a family, Canada would allow me. There was one person approaching me saying that, because there is less population in Canada, one of the agents is saying because there's lack of people, then Canadian government would entertain families. It doesn't work this way. If that was the case, we would have not been at 38.5 million people here, right? We would have been like 600, 700 million people like in the US, south of the border. We're very less population because we have a criteria. Not everyone is invited. If you meet the criteria, you're welcome.
That's nice. And how does your contract last with the client?
Yeah, so our contract determines our service. What services are we providing? We basically say that we're going to assist you in, for example, student visa. So our contract would last when you get your student visa, or immigration, you get your immigration. So whenever you get the result, the agreement is concluded. But trust me, it's a lifelong relationship whenever it comes to dealing with a immigration client, because they come here, they get in touch, they remain in touch, they start referring us more of their friends and families. So they become a part of Canadian family and our family too, because we are already here, we assist them. Sometimes they do seek assistance, even the small things like, pick up us from the airport.
Amir nice.
You dealt with us from India, from Pakistan, from Middle East, and we are coming finally with your assistance. Would you be able to guide us
Oh,
school admission.
You had such questions before?
Yeah. I mean, we do have colleagues who can assist people in even accommodation, right? Sometimes they want to purchase properties. So I don't do real estate, but I can refer people without any monetary compensation interest in that. But it's always good because I've gone through it myself. The teething effect that I had when I came here, difficult times, and I was looking for help, any kind of help. So I do understand, and these are my clients too. So if they ask for any assistance, they're always available.
Nice. And what are the tasks you will undertake for a client?
Yeah, so we represent clients in their immigration application. In doing so, we prepare their documentation, their application forms, contents of an application should be accurate. For example, a skilled worker application, the job description should be according to what the visa officer is looking for. Obviously, we don't design anything from our side, but we can at least make some suggestions which are lawful, and we can say that you need to present or you need to choose the correct occupation. So someone might be selecting an occupation which might not be fitting his profile. So we do this back and forth with the client and do counsel them, and then we respond to the visa officer's concerns if these are raised. So we disabuse the visa officer concern, and if there is an interview convoked, we coach them for the interview as well, so that they can handle interview properly. And the bottom line is, the target is that we get to that common goal of getting the permanent residence. And then once they come here, if they want to apply for citizenship after 3 years, if they need assistance in that, we can assist them as licensed citizenship consultants as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll take a short break, and we'll get right back after the short break and talk more about immigration services with Mr. Amir. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome back to Lights, Camera and Action. And I'm your host tonight, Kubra Ali. So with us is Mr. Amir, who is the immigration consultant, and let's talk with him. So welcome back.
Thank you very much.
So I wanted to ask you, what if a client's application is rejected?
Yes. So obviously, when a visa officer rejects an application, they have to provide the reasons for refusal. And those reasons, obviously, if they are okay, I mean, if there's no error in law or fact or both, then there is no point in challenging that. But if you see that there is an obvious error and in law and in fact or both, that can be challenged at the Federal Court of Canada. Most of the people, they elect to reapply because that is a cheaper option. But sometimes people go in litigation as well. So you've got two choices. If you get a refusal, you look at the refusal reasons, and if you see that yes, there was an error on the part of the applicant, that can be overcome by way of further documentation explanation. So you can reapply, or you can challenge, or you can argue with the officer as well that you might have
there are chances to do all
that. There are chances of doing that. It's not the end of the story unless there is a refusal based on something serious, like a misrepresentation or false or misleading information was provided and the visa officer detected it, and they refuse the application. So there could be bans, right? A 5 years ban or 10 years ban. A finding in background security problem has emerged in an applicant's background. There could be serious criminality issues or normal criminality. I mean, I should not be saying normal criminality, but there are standards in the immigration law according to which they decide as to how many years the applicant cannot reapply, or when can he be deemed rehabilitated. So all these issues are taken into account when someone approaches us that, I was refused. So it was a visitor visa. There are
alternatives.
Yeah, so it's a visitor visa. Obviously, you can always reapply. It's not a big deal, right?
True. Do you usually update a client for his profile status, or does he has to go to online and check it?
Yeah, so they have the option of checking online as well. And when we create a profile, we've been allowed something called Authorized Representative Portal by the Canadian government. We use that portal to submit applications for our client because, we can't create separate accounts. It's a hassle to create separate accounts for each client. Sometimes we do when the client wants the direct access as well. But most of the time we create the account and then we provide the progress report to the client. Most of the times when an event happens, then the client is informed in advance, or the client is notified by the IRCC that you have a medical scheduled or you have an interview scheduled. So we are obliged to provide clients updates regularly.
Oh, nice. That's easy. And if you can tell me what makes you unique as an immigration advisor? Because there are a lot of immigration advisors and consultants over here.
Yeah.
So can you say something you have in you, something unique to your audience?
Yeah. So in Canada, licensed immigration consultants might not be in big numbers, but if you talk about overseas, there are millions of them. There are more immigration consultants, I would say, than applicants. There are so many of them.
I know there are.
Yeah. So obviously, people don't know about the difference, right? They do go to them, and somehow they become our competitors as well.
Okay.
So first of all, if you're comparing us with them, obviously they are not in our league at all. They are not licensed, not authorized, not Canadians, so they are not competitors. Clients could not be. This is the number one reason for not dealing with them. So that is one, that's what makes us unique, that we are properly authorized and recognized by the Government of Canada.
Okay.
Secondly, even amongst these recognized licensed consultants, you might want to look at their reputation, their number of years that they have spent in Canada, not overseas, in Canada, as an immigration consultant, licensed immigration consultant, and also the fact that whether the immigration consultant whom you have hired and paid the money is dealing with you personally or not, because that's what I do. And that's what every immigration consultant should be doing. Each and every client, no client is big or small. You have to be dealing with them personally because they hired you, not the company. They didn't hire your staff. So if you have taken up the case and only the staff is dealing with them all the time and you're nowhere in the picture and you're not responding, then it's a big red flag. So if you deal with someone and you want to check their uniqueness, you see how active they are. Are they just taking the money and then handing over the case to juniors and not coming or getting in touch? And if someone is dealing with you personally, overseas, they're still not legitimate. So that may not still be the criteria, because you need to make a difference between overseas and in Canada consultant first. And then once you have identified that you need to deal with in Canada consultants who are licensed, then you need to see whether these in Canada consultants, which one is better out of them.
Yeah. Like I have a question. Like, when you go to reviews, right, and on Google, and then you hire an immigration advisor. And like, for example, nowadays there's a lot of spousal, if you say, for immigration, and you actually apply for your spouse, and then there is a delay. And when you call them and they are not answering you properly, of course, if there is a delay, they can let you know. But then they're not answering your calls, they're not answering your emails at that point, because that has done, like my friend has gone through it. So I just had a personal question, like, so what does a client do in that case? Because I think a lot of people go through such kind of experiences, right? So because this is my friend's experience, I want to know what happens, because I know it was a big time. It took a lot of time. I think 1.5 years. But then I want to know, like, if there is no answer and like a month, you keep calling to the immigration advisor, he doesn't answer, he's out of the town, he doesn't, and then when the receptionist answered the phone call, she's very easy on it. So at that moment, what should be done? What should be done? What does a client do?
So when a client applies, they have an anticipation. They see that, okay, it's going to take 1 year, but it takes forever. And then on top of that, the immigration department doesn't respond, and you write to them, there is an auto response. That too comes after several weeks, and then when you call them, they don't pick up the phone. This is all frustrating, and I do feel for these people. It depends what is going on in a particular case. If it is a universal situation, which is the case these days, which is a pandemic situation where there was a huge backlog accumulated, and yes, I would...
But this was before pandemic.
So when the pandemic struck, all the applications that were submitted before pandemic was also affected. But I'm not advocating on the part of the IRCC, Immigration Department, because they were the ones who were supposed to take care of this. They were the ones who needed to understand that these people are waiting in Canada without their spouses, and if they're gonna delay it like that, they could have prioritized it. They could have put more resources into this particular category of spousal sponsorship. You cannot make people wait for 2.5 years, 3 years because there is a pandemic. Yes, there is a problem. There could be delays, but these delays were exorbitant. They were unacceptable. So what they're doing now is, I can see that there have been some movement going on. They have put in some resources, but Immigration Department, unfortunately, I think I would rate it as one of the slowest department in Canada.
Oh, okay.
And obviously, it is people's application. They are the ones who are eagerly looking forward. And sometimes it's not a priority in some of the categories, although they should be. Some other categories are given priorities, and people become more furious if they are overseas, that you are accepting applications and processing them quickly in one of the categories. Why not us?
Right.
So some of my clients have been affected as well. But at the end of the day, the good news is, if it's a genuine marriage and there are no issues as such, no bad faith or anything, at the end of the day, it might be delayed, but it will happen.
Oh, it will happen.
Yeah. So a little bit of more patience is required when it comes to dealing with the visa post. My own application was processed in 5 years' time. Right,
wow,
when I came here several years ago. So I know the pain people go through, but eventually when it happens,
I think that's the most easiest immigration, the spouse one. So I think if delays, that's a thing which is people get curious, like why it's happening.
Yeah, so it's basically, I wouldn't say that any immigration category is difficult. Every immigration category is straightforward. It's just that the checks and balances in some of the categories are a pain. For example, spousal sponsorship, and rightly so, because they don't want people to misuse the system, that you could sponsor anyone while the relationship was not genuine. So they would want to go into the verification and everything. Sometimes they do cross a line and they want to do it more, they go into hair split definitions and go into further details and make people suffer. And at the end of the day, they still approve them. Why couldn't they do it earlier?
Yeah.
But yes, people sometimes they do find themselves in this situation, and unfortunately, a lot of wait. But it will happen. Hopefully, this year or next year.
Maybe within 2 years.
Yeah, within this year or next year.
Okay. So what are your service charges, if you can discuss that with us?
Yeah, so when people approach us, we don't charge them anything to make an assessment, so free assessment. If we find them not qualifying, we tell them, honestly, that they should not proceed, they should not waste their time and money, so this is free. When we find that a person is qualifying in any category, student, visitor, skilled worker, business, immigration, spousal sponsorship, any sponsorships, we tell them by way of a report that they do appear to qualify, and there are different pathways, and they appear to qualify in these pathways. If they want to proceed further, they can book a one-on-one consultation with us. That would be a personalized consultation according to their case, and we discuss their eligibility, pathways, and everything. That does come with a consultation fee, a very small consultation fee, which is refundable or adjustable toward the actual fee if they hire our services after that consultation. So assessment is free, consultation, and then the actual case if they do go forward. So we give them a range of fee before even consultation. And that range, we try to keep the quotation in between that two figures. And so for example, if a student visa, if we say we're going to charge you, say, $1,000.
Yeah.
And if you find that there's a spouse involved as well, we say like $200 more, and then we give them a well-calculated quotation.
Okay.
So it is given at the end of the consultation by way of a retainer agreement, as we discussed earlier, and they would know as to what they are going to be paying at the end of the day. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. And so do you actually communicate directly with your clients, or there's someone who does that for you?
Yeah, so we have staff members, of course, to assist us in communicating with the clients, but all the back and forth with the client is supervised by me personally, and that is important. But the staff that we have, they are very much experienced in doing the routine communication with the clients without any supervision. But when it comes to dealing with the visa officer on behalf of the client, like writing a submission letter, explaining client's attributes to the client, to the visa officer, explaining to them as to why the person qualifies in a particular category, why should they be considered under a particular category, that is done personally by me.
Oh, nice. Okay. So can a client's family members benefit from the program? Like you said, you have discussed this before, but if you can tell me more in brief, like what kind of family members?
Sure.
And what kind of family member it's easier for them to?
Sure.
Yeah.
So you basically, when you become a permanent resident, you have the right to sponsor your spouse, your partner, and your children up below the age of 22, right? So this is the dependent age, and then you can also sponsor your parents and your grandparents. You can also provide assistance to some of the extended family members. For example, you can get extra points for your siblings back in your home country if they're applying in, say, skilled worker category. There are 15 extra ranking points for siblings. And there could be provincial programs which allows certain relatives or even friends to come to Canada under those particular categories. For example, Manitoba has a program, a provincial program, and if you have a relative or a friend residing in Manitoba who is willing to offer help in your initial settlement, in guiding you in your job search and providing you initial settlement assistance, you can qualify in Manitoba's program. So there are various.
There's only in Manitoba. It's not here in
Toronto? It used to be in Alberta as well several years ago. If I'm not mistaken, it was around 10-12 years ago, Alberta Family Assistance Program, but that has been closed down. But every now and then there is a program. And as I said, having a close relative like a sibling in any of these provinces, Saskatchewan, for example, gives you extra points. And when provinces are nominating you, they want to know whether you have a close connection in their province or not. Having a relative goes a long way when you tell them that, yes, I do have connection, a friend or a cousin or a family member residing in your province. Then obviously you have an edge over other people who don't have anyone residing in their provinces, right?
We'll take a short break and we'll be back and continue with our immigration services answers. Thank you very much. Welcome back to Lights, Camera, and Action. I'm your host, Kubra Ali. So let me welcome back again, Mr. Amir.
Thank you very much.
So let's proceed towards few questions with you, and then we have to pack up.
Sure.
So there are lots of ratios of students who want to come on a study permit and later decide to convert that status to, worker.
Sure.
So how do you deal with those cases?
Yeah. So first of all, we deal with them to come here on study permit, and when they have completed their studies, they know that they have the option of applying for a postgraduate work permit.
Okay.
And they usually don't need the assistance of a consultant to do so. It's a straightforward procedure. And if you have graduated from a publicly funded university or a college, then it also allows you to apply for permanent residence once you have completed that 1-year work experience working in Canada. Obviously, there are conditions to that as well to qualify. But if someone approaches us, we do guide them to apply for a postgraduate work permit to remain in Canada, work in Canada. And if they want to apply for permanent residence after that, that is one of the options as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there any category like what kind of education they're going through or what kind of work they want to get done? And is it easier for that kind of education?
Yes. So people usually, when they're coming from overseas, they go for a diploma program, which is at least 1 year of length, or a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. These are the kind of programs that qualify them to get a postgraduate work permit and then eventually apply for immigration under Canada Experience Class.
Right.
So these are the categories, but obviously it depends on the circumstances of a person. If they have graduated from a diploma course and if they have gotten a 1-year postgraduate work permit and then if they have completed 1-year experience, they are now in a position to apply for immigration earlier than someone who was pursuing a 4 years bachelor's degree, because they have to complete 4 years and then 1 year and then apply. Right? It's for the fresh applicants. But someone who's already had experience from overseas, and sometimes mature student also come, right? So if they don't have to, in some cases, they don't have to wait for that 1-year work experience to qualify under Canada Experience Class. Because as a foreign national, if you already have work experience, you can apply for immigration and get additional points for that Canadian credential, up to 30 points, right?
Okay.
So that makes your case even stronger. So a lot of people who are in other countries, they wish to come, but they have less ranking points, but then they think that if they do their Canadian education, it might be useful, and it does indeed is useful because it gets you more points.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like you said, points if there's a family member.
Yes.
So do they get points for that as well?
Yes, they do. It has to be a first blood relative, like uncle, aunt, nephew, niece, brother, sister. But brothers and sisters go one step further, because all the other relatives, first blood relatives, can get you 5 extra points to enter the express entry pool.
Okay.
So there is a criteria to enter the pool with 67 points, so 5 points for relatives.
Okay.
But when you're in the pool, all those points become irrelevant. The only points that remain relevant, or only relative that could get you points on the basis of relationship, is your siblings. And your siblings can get you 15 extra ranking points.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
That's something. Okay, as Canada has opened borders for international visitors, and there are many among who want to stay in Canada to study, work. So how do you help in those cases?
Yeah, so there was a lot of backlog here in Canada, obviously, and people were not allowed to come back, even in case of Canadian citizens even, and they were required to do quarantine. And I was very worried when I was traveling. But yes, as the borders are opening, more and more people are coming. We don't even have the quarantine requirement or the other stringent requirement in place. So obviously people are more easy in traveling. When they come over here, first of all, there was a decline in the applications from overseas, because people could see that they are not being entertained, so they were not applying even. And it was a worldwide situation, so financial situation was also impacted, so people were not applying. But then after that, people have started applying. They are coming in, and when they arrive here, if they need any assistance in their immigration work, obviously we are here to assist them. But if you talk about business from overseas, it has increased many folds, because people can now see that Canada actually responded quite well as compared to other countries. Yeah, so if you're coming from a country like India or Pakistan or Bangladesh or Sri Lanka, and you find that your governments were not able to respond properly, or were not able to help the way they should, and they can see that Canada was able to provide assistance. They even paid people money toward the pandemic assistance. So people have the interest of coming to Canada has increased many folds. That God forbid, if such a catastrophe strikes again, what will happen? So we should be in a better position. But obviously there are criteria. The desire is not enough. You have to be able to qualify to come to Canada.
Right. Like you said about the pandemic, I want to ask you, how did your business, affect during the COVID-19?
Yeah, so I don't think that the business was affected as such, because as I said earlier, that as the pandemic struck and people found that some of the countries were in a better position to respond to their citizens in terms of assistance, when there was a lockdown and businesses were shut down or forced to shut down, obviously for the safety of people. So they could see that coming to a better country in terms of a better economy, or the country is in a better position to assist their citizens, Canada was one of the choices for people. It has always been the choice, but pandemic made it even more better, that people are more interested. So our business actually flourished during pandemic, and people were interested. The only thing that affected us was border closures. If there is no border, it's closed, and people won't be able to come. So it was difficult for people to make the decision, should they apply or not. And the other thing is, if you're coming from a country that is not well-to-do, you're struggling with your economy, for example, immigration is not cheap, obviously. You have to spend money, you have to bring money. So if you have been impacted by that, obviously your decision to immigrate to Canada might be suffered because of this. So yeah, it was a mixed bag of things, but now situation have change, and Canada obviously needs a lot of people going forward, 1.1 million people by 2024. So a lot of people would be required, and the economy, when it goes back to track, people are going to make it happen, right? Yeah.
What are your further plans?
In my career?
Yeah.
In my career, I think I'm going to remain an immigration consultant. As my time is over, I might see a few more people coming to Canada with my assistance, and that gives me a lot of happiness.
So do you travel too?
Yeah, I do travel, and the kind of work I'm involved in, it is actually, I feel myself very content, because you can see that this is one of the most important decisions of their life, relocating to another country. A lot of dreams are associated with it. careers are associated with it. And when you see them succeed and come here and then flourish, because you can witness, you're already here, you can witness them flourishing, progressing, prospering. So it gives you good feeling. The other day, I was dealing with one of my clients who brought his daughter to my office, who was sponsoring her husband from India, and one of them was sponsoring from Pakistan.
Nice.
And both these clients, when they were migrating, these children, one of them was not born, and the other client, the girl was in his lap. And now they are...
That's so nice. They came back to you.
They came back to me, and we submitted their sponsorship application. Now they have kids here. So you can see generations going through your services, and this is the kind of trust that people place in you, and that's what gives you happiness. And I find myself that if I was given a choice to change my career, I would never change it. I would always be in
immigration. I can see that 30 years.
Exactly. It is my passion, I would say.
Nice. And you have, I think you have this business in Karachi as well.
Yes. So we have liaison offices all over the world.
Okay.
And I do maintain an office in Karachi because I come from Karachi myself. But there are liaison offices in other parts of the world as well. So whenever I travel, most recently we established something in Istanbul as well. You do some investment-based immigration as well, citizenship like Turkey and Portugal and Caribbean countries where you pay some money and you get your passport. For travel purposes, a lot of people go for it. So I do make those contacts and liaisons and referral officers, and we do have a very good network of people. But at the end of the day, you would end up dealing with me. I'm the one who you have to bear with.
Okay, that's nice. And any hobbies, interests you have apart from your career, apart from your work?
Yeah, so spending time with the family, that is one major, time that I spend with my family. And I think my hobby is something related to my business again. It's traveling, right?
Yes.
So wherever I travel, even for the leisure purposes, I find myself conducting an immigration session. So it's a good business, or it's a good line of career. I've helped a lot of my other colleagues in getting into this line because it's good. If you have good communication skills, if you have passion to help people, and if you are fond of traveling, immigration consulting could be your choice.
Very nice, very nice. And thank you very much. If you like to give advice to our audience, and obviously your information, if you could like to give them your address, where they can and how they can contact you.
Yeah, so we can be contacted. Our website is www.amirismail.com. That's AMIRISMAIL.com. And all our contact information is there, our WhatsApp number and everything, so they can contact me. My advice to people who are interested in migrating to Canada is to do their thorough research before they go and seek help, and don't ever go to seek help from someone who is located in your local market, someone who's pretending to be a licensed consultant or a Canadian, because you're going to end up losing money. Canadian government refuses applications of people who have paid money to local agents. So it's a big
so they have to do their research.
They have to do the research about their eligibility, and about the consultant, of course, they need to do it, but their own eligibility is important. And once they find that they are eligible, then they want to speak to someone, they should speak to someone licensed, and then when they're satisfied, then only proceed and come to Canada, right? And do a bit of research about Canada as well, the living conditions, whether it is worth the move or not. You should not be finding yourself, cursing yourself that you made a wrong choice, right? And but my endorsement to Canada would be that it would hopefully not be the wrong choice. It's a nice country. It's one of the best countries in the world to live.
Thank you so much. It was so nice talking to you. Thank you for all your answers. I know the questions were like, I had like really difficult questions, for the audiences. I prepared difficult questions, but you answered so nicely and smoothly. Thank you very much. It was really a big help for us and whoever wants to, immigrate to Canada. So I think you should consult Mr. Amir Ismail, and he has given his information. It's also there on the video, so please contact him and go further. Thank you very much for watching my show tonight with Mr. Amir Ismail. I hope you got all the answers about immigration, and we'll see you back next week again on my show, Lights, Camera and Action with Kubra Ali on Awaz Entertainment. I hope you have a good evening, and I'll see you back next week with another guest. Thank you very much. I'm bringing you Lights, Camera and Action, a brand new show every Wednesday at 7 p.m. only on Awaz Entertainment.